Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us at the first session of the Community Choice Track at the MDF 2020 virtual conference. My name is Emily Jones, and I began the support group in New York State Finger Lakes region in 2015 after my son and grandson were diagnosed with DM1 in 2014. I am very excited to introduce you to clinical dietitian Sarah Kevrin, who is going to talk with us about optimizing nutrition in support of individuals with myotonic dystrophy. Sarah is a registered dietitian and a nutrition support specialist at Stanford Health Care and Stanford Children's Health. She joined the neuromuscular team in 2019 to inaugurate and build nutrition services. She works as part of the multidisciplinary clinic with both adult and pediatric patients to help optimize their nutrition. Sarah completed her training at Ohio University and has been practicing as a clinical registered dietitian since 2011. As nutrition is a huge issue for both my son and my grandson, I am really looking forward to hearing what I can do to encourage change in their eating habits. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Sarah Kevrin. Sarah?
Thank you, Emily, for the introduction, and hello everybody that's joined. So I'm going to share my screen in just a second, but thought it might be nice to see my face so you can put a voice to the face. And I will also mention that I will be taking questions at the end. If you have a question during the presentation, go ahead and write it in, but I won't be answering it till the end, so just sit tight. All right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see that. So today what we're going to talk about is first of all, the basics of human nutrition. So we're going to go over a lot of this and sort of build a base of knowledge before we go on to talk about supplements. And in that section, we'll talk about what to take, when to take it, things to look out for and be careful of. And then finally, with all that baseline info, we'll finish up talking about nutrition concerns that are specific to the myotonic dystrophy population. So some of this may be a review for some of you. Hopefully you'll at least learn one thing. So in terms of nutrition basics, nutrition or food is comprised of macronutrients and micronutrients. The macronutrients provide us with energy or calories. And these two words, energy and calories, I'm going to use somewhat interchangeably during this talk. Calories are really a unit of energy, similar to like how an inch is a unit of length when we talk about measuring things. So energy and calories are basically the same thing when we're talking about food and nutrition. Now the macronutrients are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Those three nutrients do provide different calories per the amount that you eat. So for every 1 gram of carbohydrate and 1 gram of protein, you get 4 calories. With fats, for every gram of fat you eat, you get 9 calories. So you can see that fats do provide more energy than the other 2 micronutrients, but overall, they provide us with energy. Micronutrients do not provide energy. They don't contain calories, but they do perform essential functions in the body. And the micronutrient groups are vitamins and minerals. Then we have this antioxidants phytochemicals group that don't provide energy and they don't perform essential functions in the body, but they do assist in keeping cells healthy, so they are still very important. Okay, so let's talk about the macronutrients. So carbohydrates really need a moment of silence because they have just a terrible reputation. However, carbohydrates are the body's favorite form of energy. They are digested very easily, they are converted to energy very easily, and that energy is used very easily by the body. So they really are the body's favorite form, but a lot of people are scared of carbs. So we'll talk about that. We get carbohydrates from mostly plants and dairy. You won't really find a lot of carbohydrates in meats, poultry, fish, or eggs. So we get them from grains, beans, legumes, potatoes, peas, lentils, and fruits, and also milk. Milk products do contain carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates themselves are very large molecules, and they're too big to absorb into the bloodstream as they are. So during digestion, our digestive enzymes break those carbohydrates into glucose, which is that smallest form or piece of a carbohydrate. And glucose, I will probably use the term sugar interchangeably with glucose during this presentation. So essentially, glucose is a type of sugar, and it is the most basic form of a carbohydrate and is able to be absorbed because it's very small. So once that glucose is absorbed into the bloodstream, that glucose gets circulated around the body to the brain, the muscles, and all of our tissues. So the brain will use that glucose for energy. The brain loves glucose, and the muscles use it as well for energy. Now, if there's too much glucose and the muscles aren't using all of it, then our blood sugar is going to be higher because more of that glucose stays in the blood. And if we're still not using it, then that glucose will be stored as fat. And I think this is where a lot of people are afraid of carbohydrates, because while it is the body's favorite form of energy, it's also very easily stored as fat if we eat too much of it. So carbohydrates are important for energy, they're easy to use, but too much gets stored as fat. Now, fiber is technically a carbohydrate. So if you look at the food label, under the total carbohydrate section, you'll notice fiber falls in that area. However, fiber is not digested by the body. Our digestive enzymes are not strong enough to digest it. It is a plant-derived polysaccharide, which is a type of carbohydrate, but we just can't break it down. So what that means is that when we eat fiber, it slows down digestion, which stimulates blood sugar, or it stabilizes blood sugar, and it also can help keep us regular. There are two types of fiber. There's insoluble and soluble fiber. So soluble fiber absorbs a lot of water and turns into almost like a gel consistency. And what this does is it slows down the gastric emptying and increases our stool thickness. So as you can imagine, soluble fiber is probably not the best form of fiber to eat if you're constipated, because it will kind of slow everything down. Sources of soluble fiber are oats, barley, nuts, apples, blueberries, and then anytime you see the terms psyllium or inulin, those are two forms of soluble fiber. This is not an all-inclusive list, but these are some of the most common food sources of soluble fiber. Then there's insoluble fiber.